Something I would love to ask you about, because of all of my experts and millionaires that come back every week, you are the only one that really built homes, both luxury and starter homes in your career. So as we sit here at the end of 2022, we are seeing builders cut back in mass. We are seeing supplies of existing homes fall, active inventory. I just wanted to ask you, what would it take to happen either at the government level or the financing level or whatever it is to really get home builders to start building that entry level housing stock again? Because I think today people would argue it's just not profitable. So what are all the things that may happen to actually get affordable homes, new construction affordable homes built en masse? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's all of the above. So it is profitable. Building's profitable at all levels, and it's a volume game at the lower end of the spectrum of home building. And there's a lot of variables and factors that go into it. So number one, right now, obviously, the cost of the land, that's first and foremost. Then the cost of the entitlement process, and different cities, different counties, different towns have variable costs that, whether you're building $1 million home or you're building a $100,000 home, it's the same, in terms of building permit, costs and fees for certain things, that they charge you. So that's kind of silly, where it doesn't, it's not relative to the size of the house you're building that makes it prohibitive to build entry-level homes. Cost of land is a big one with real estate, in a super bubble like it is over the last couple of years because of interest rates. That's driven, the cost of land through the roof. Also with the pandemic, supply chain, all that, construction materials and things and construction labor has gone through the roof. We've lost a lot of people in the trades since 2009. A lot of people left and never came back. And a lot of people are retiring now that have been in the business a long time. They don't have anybody coming up behind them. So there's a lot of pressure on labor still keeping prices high. So you need a complete reset in housing and labor, materials, all of that, supply chain issues, all of those things have to be completely resolved and reset in order to get prices back down to where they're at an affordable level. And then now with interest rates where they are, I mean, it's just a perfect trifecta of unaffordability across the board because housing prices spike so high, land costs spike through the roof, construction costs are through the roof, and now interest rates, it's just totally pricing people out of the market. So it's going to take a complete reset of all of the above that I listed to get back to building affordable houses again. And when you look at the national average median house cost, affordable is probably in the 200s.
Probably.
And now you're talking about 400 in most areas. I mean, I don't know if you can go anywhere and buy a $200,000 house anymore right now. New construction, it's very difficult.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. The other things that I was thinking about, I just want to put these out there. And again, these are just one crazy guy's ideas who's never built a home, none of that stuff. But when I look at home construction today, I've gone to lots of projects. I bought a lot of houses in my day. They're very stick built, right? Maybe they're concrete and, kind of block in hurricane areas, but housing construction, near as I can tell, really hasn't changed in 40 years. Is it possible that there's maybe a cheaper way to build homes, whether that's the mythical 3D printing or can we re-envision how maybe a house is constructed and maybe that's cheaper? Maybe it's, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of other things that may help produce affordable homes.
Yeah, so the building industry, residential construction industry has been experimenting and trying to find solutions forever. Modular housing, systems built homes, prefabricated homes, all types of different things and methods that that are in the process to try to resolve the issue. The latest thing is 3D printed houses in terms of least environmental impact, most energy efficient, quickest and least expensive, but you're still dealing with a lot of other factors and variables you can't take out of the equation. And at the end of the day, even 3D printed houses are about the same as it costs you for a stick built home. It doesn't save you much money, if any, but it does save time. They're getting them done quicker. A lot of people think modular is cheaper, but at the end of the day, I mean, you got to have it shipped in. You have to have it set on a foundation. You still got your permits, entitlement, and land costs. You have interest rates. So that might save you some time, but generally doesn't save you much on cost, at the end of the day. So, I mean, unfortunately, we haven't solved that problem yet. And the biggest problem, again, is the entitlement process, permitting, regulatory environment that you're facing to build something new, whether you're hauling something in completely done. site work to prepare the lot, just all those different things, utility connections. And then you have other aspects of it. And, now with interest rates where they are, it's going to be difficult. But, the construction building industry, all across the world has been trying to solve this problem for a long time. So it hasn't been resolved yet.
So other things, again, talking about, affordable new homes. I mean, so we talked about the construction element. Sounds like there's lots of people working on it, but nothing yet. Entitlement's been brought up a couple of times. I thought maybe it was at the state level, but again, the federal government can't do much at a state level, right? They can encourage, they could bribe, essentially. Hey, there's this money pile here if you want it. I think they've tried to do things like that.
Well, it's not even a state level. It's your local jurisdiction. So it's the county and the city. It's not the state, that sets those things. Every county, every city is different when it comes to building permit process, zoning, all of those different things that make it more expensive to build. I mean, just like you're dealing with for an ADU in San Francisco, and the time that it takes to get things done.
Yeah. The other thing you can flip over and you could look at the payment side, right? One of the things that I think might be coming, and maybe it's only for first-time home buyers, right? Because again, a lot of first-time home buyers go FHA 3.5% down, that kind of market. What do you think about, again, for that focused buyer? So not for investors, not for move-up buyers, not for luxury, not for second homes, only first-time home buyers. They do some kind of 40 or 50-year mortgage, or maybe they do, there's other ways that you can get at trying to make it affordable or encouraging. Because again, I think we are at record low on affordability, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. But I suspect after midterms election and then Congress is reconstituted next year, it would not shock me if one of the first things they tackle is first-time home buyer stuff. And I'm just trying to think ahead what might be coming.
Yeah, so there's a lot of first-time home buyer stuff out there right now. And then, of course, you and I talked about the other day, 100% mortgages. So you're getting into subsidized mortgage lending, subprime type of stuff. And we saw what happened the last time we went down that road. And, that's not going to take pressure off prices. When you subsidize somebody to be able to pay more instead of addressing the core issue, which the core issue is the cost to build, period, and the cost of the financing to get it done, that until you address that, you're not going to resolve or solve any of the issues. And again, the Fed damaged housing by letting interest rates get so low. That's the only reason it exponentially spiked like it did in terms of values. Now, of course, the pandemic, added a little bit to that as well. People leaving areas that were very expensive, going into these less expensive areas, and just, driving prices up a little bit. But without the interest rates at 2.5%, 3%, that, we never would have gotten to the levels that we have seen the last couple of years in terms of price point on houses. So you gotta address the core root issues. I mean, it's like, how do you address gas prices? Give people money to buy more gas at high prices.
Well, that's what they're doing in California. That's what they're...
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So when you look at housing, you can't address housing unaffordability by making it more accessible to everybody. That just drives prices up even more.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm trying to think about, because again, I think my feeling about the Fed broke housing, which we've been talking about for a while now, and they clearly did. One interesting idea would be, because again, I think why first-time homebuyers are hurt so much is because the move-up market is dead, right? I got into a house the last 2 years. I got a 2.5 rate or a 3.1. Shoot, rates are at 7. I'm not moving. What if somebody waved a magic wand and said, you know what? For calendar year 2023 and calendar 2024, we will let you take that mortgage rate to your next home. That would create supply, don't you think?
Potentially, but right now there's, there's no inventory out there, but that's, I don't even know how that would work, because
me neither. It was a crazy idea. I have no idea.
Well, I've seen it. It's circulating out there. Somebody, I can't remember, I saw an article on it this weekend about, moving interest rate around, but it just doesn't even make sense, because the houses are different prices, different equity levels. I mean, you'd have to where are you going to get the money? So is the government now going to start financing all the real estate for everybody, and the banks?
Let's just play with this a little bit. Again, this is just two guys talking, for 15 seconds of thinking. So let's just assume I have a first-time home buyer home. I have a $200K loan at 3%.
Yeah.
I want to buy a move-up home at 400. again, we're just making stuff up now. So what if I sold the first home at 200 and I could take the first 200 grand of the next purchase at 3%, and then I get a second for whatever the delta is. I'm just
Okay,
making
so
this up.
again, you're subsidizing an already inflation and artificially inflated value, and you're going to be back to bidding wars and back to no inventory, and I mean, because you've done nothing, so you're basically just
Transactions would go up. Well,
just drop rates
transactions would.
again. I mean, what
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
saying is just drop rates again and go back to 2%.
Uh,
Make rates lower so that people can afford what they're buying. What does that do? That drives prices up. Look at
Yeah.
automobiles, same thing.
Yeah.
Automobiles were driven up because you can borrow more than the vehicle was worth. You can spread the payments out longer and longer and longer. So again, that doesn't solve the root of the problem. That will create more problems. It'll create higher prices, less inventory, more demand. Just, it's really all you're doing.
Yeah, again, these are just crazy ideas. And again, these are ideas. These are not things I support. And let's be very clear, just so in case anybody's confused. I believe the only thing that really can fix what we're going through is time. The Fed broke housing. The natural order of housing is broken for years to come. It will fix itself sometime. But yeah, I'm not advocating any of these. I'm just trying to say, hey, what could help?
Yeah. And I'm just saying that wouldn't work because you're just,
Yeah.
So there's really, again, the only thing you can actually contemplate that would fix it is keeping rates high or higher. So it completely destroys demand. More inventory stacks up because people are going to die, and they're going to be leaving houses behind.
Time.
And I think, I'm not sure, but I think our demographics are kind of flipping the other way, where household formation is actually shrinking a little bit because of immigration policy and things like that. I don't know how true that is, but I've been seeing, some of that, and I don't know how much undocumented population you can actually account for. And there's housing, there's housing. Every market's different. There's a lot of markets where inventory stacking up, prices are coming down, things are changing quickly. Some of the areas that, that saw the influx from the pandemic are seeing it go the other way, and you're seeing net migration in some areas. Florida with the storms, you might see some people, hightail that out of Florida and get somewhere more inland and safer. But, at the end of the day, the only way to fix housing, it's not by dropping interest rates again. That's what created the problem. It's not allowing people to move interest rates. It's not giving, people loans they can't, normally wouldn't. Anything you do to try to make it easier to buy drives prices up. That's all that
totally
does.
agree. Yeah. And again, I really do think people need to focus on supply. Whether supply is going to be a problem. And again, the only thing that I think really fixes this long-term is time. I certainly hope and wish for some kind of engineering creation that makes the affordable home cheaper. I'm glad people are working on it. I haven't seen anything that can do it yet at scale. But I wanted to ask you these questions. Greg, where can people find you?
Yeah, gregdickerson.com. Wish I had better news, but it is where it is. And this is a very unique time in housing that we've never seen. Demand destruction while the market continues to contract in housing. Prices are sticky. They're holding up in most areas, and people don't want to sell. I mean, it's weird. You have seller destruction and demand destruction.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually termed phase 1 was demand destruction, and now we're into phase 2, supply destruction. And again, for me, we got to get to March 15th next year, which is the start of the spring selling season. And then we can see what happens. But the next 6 months are just slow. So, Greg, thank you so much.
Yep.